This is the stuff of which protests are made, of course. Americans angry not only about a government spread thin, but spread far and costing more, a lot more. Last time something like this happened, angry Americans were throwing unfairly taxed crates of tea into Boston Harbor. That was then, eerily familiar rage now. John O'Hara knows. John is one of the key organizers for Chicago's Tax Day Tea Party. John, what's got you the most ticked?
Neil, I don't think it's one particular thing, but I think you hit the nail on the head. It's government is spread too far and too thin. They're doing things that they shouldn't be doing, like running AIG and GM, and they're the Obama administration is trying to juggle too much. There are things facing us, whether it's Iran, the economic crisis, the Somali pirates. These are urgent things that need to be dealt with now. And as you said, it's not that immigration isn't important, but there are some very, very crucial things that need to be addressed that aren't necessarily being addressed as adequately as they should be.
You know, and we get a lot of people in the traditional media always coming back to me saying, oh, you know, now you guys are whining about this in a Democratic administration. To be fair to your group and certainly any regular watcher of my shows, either on Fox Business Network or Fox News, would know, we've been after government spending. I know you've been after government spending regardless of who's in the White House or who's controlling Congress, right? So how do you get past the political label that's been attached to these protests?
It's a broad partisan, nonpartisan grassroots effort, Neil. There's no question. There's liberals there, there's conservatives there, there's libertarians, there's everyone in between. You saw Code Pink today was protesting Mr. Summers and saying, give us our money back.
Now, are they with you guys? Is Code Pink with you guys now?
It's a conspiracy, Neil. We're working with them.
All right, that's interesting because you deliberately, in order to keep the politics out of it, you asked Michael Steele, the RNC chairman, not to show up, right? Why did you do that?
Neil, he did reach out to some of the organizers, and they said no thanks. And it's not a slight to the GOP any more than it is that we're not having any Democrats speaking. This is an opportunity for citizens to speak to politicians, not the other way around. It's not that there aren't Democrats and Republicans out there that haven't stood up to runaway spending and bloated budgets. It's just that this isn't the venue for it.
All right, but this is a venue that, to hear the traditional media, this doesn't have much of a following. You've heard the rap that Americans still like Barack Obama. He's still very, very popular. The latest overnight tracking polls show almost the same support for the very programs that you're railing against. So is there a disconnect between what you and your cohorts are doing, John, and what average Americans are thinking?
I don't think so, Neil. A recent Fox News poll actually shows that while President Obama's personal approval rating is in the low 60s and his job approval rating is in the high 50s, when you start narrowing it down to his policies and how he's handling the economic crisis, you start to dip into the 50s and the 40s. And I think that you're going to see that trend continue as government continues to expand and try to juggle too much.
All right, John, thank you very much. We'll watch very, very closely. By the way, we are on top of these tea parties for this simple reason. They're events in and of themselves. The established media won't tell you that. We just did. The established media can't soil itself with the idea of being over there and covering these events. We just did. The established media really can't look at this and say, well, why cover these guys? But we'll happily cover a march that promised to feature 1 million men or more guys. They were well short of that. But that didn't take away the importance of covering that march. They did. And with follow-up marches, we did too. Because ours is not to judge the rally, just the significance of the numbers being drawn to the rally, which is why Fox covered, and I remember this because I was here, Iraq war protests and protests against those war protests. I covered 2 of them back to back. Why we covered global warming rallies and rallies against the global warming rallies. You see, we don't really pick and choose what mass populist events warrant coverage. We cover them all, which is why we are in Sacramento on Tax Day covering among the biggest of these Tea Party rallies, if you will, April 15th. We are there. Now.